And welcome, guys. This is a Legal Mindset where we teach you to be your own judge. I hope you guys are doing well out there. My voice is dead today, which means number one, I had a good time last night. And number two, I have to bring on special guests in order to do the burden of speaking to you fools on the internet. And of course, I have some great people here today to talk with on this topic. I'm actually really excited to talk about this topic about Disney adults. Are they good? Are they bad for Disney itself? And we're going to get into that with good friends of mine. Of course, we've got the accounting Chad, Mike, Mexican Iron Man. Mike, how are you today?
Very well, sir. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me on one of my favorite topics. I am someone who can speak to this topic because I live in a family house divided. In fact, two of my relatives are already in this chat, including my sister and my niece, who I love dearly, and both of whom are Disney adults. So shout out to them. So I brought reinforcements to counter all my opinions because they and me don't agree on anything.
Great. They can absolutely disagree in the chat. You are fully invited to disagree in the chat. And speaking of disagreeing, we have a very disagreeable individual. Actually, one who's so disagreeable, he's never been on my stream before. And I realized that today. I'm like, I've never had this guy on my stream. And that's Jay, Drunk 3PO. Jay, welcome to this is your virginity on my channel. So welcome. Thank you. We've been on so many streams together. We've been on so many streams together, but I've never had you on my channel.
Thanks for the invite. Hey, shout out to Jeremy for letting me leave the Geeks and Gamers live stream to come here. So,
well, I think I probably shamed him because I invited him to my channel anniversary tomorrow. I'm like, oh yeah, I got a channel anniversary tomorrow, and he's like, oh maybe maybe this and that. So hey, let Jay slip out to deal with some legal mindset. But you're like me. I mean, you're a Central Florida guy. You're very experienced going to the parks. That's kind of, I remember you coming up as a guy who would be, reporting from the parks. I think I've seen you a bunch of times when you were just starting out doing like the live streams from Food and Wine, from Epcot, right? Like, so you were there probably at the same time I was there in Orlando. We probably just didn't bump into each other. But I mean, you've been going to the parks for a long time. So I thought I've got to invite Jay, because if anybody can talk intelligently or at least coherently, that's
quite a challenge. So
yeah, at least coherently, it's Jay. It's Jay. So you guys, so this came up for two reasons. Number one, because I reviewed Jollywood Nights and people were really debating in the comments about what is a Disney adult. Is it smart to target them? Is it not smart to target them for Disney? And I saw some comments about who watched the Marvels, right? Who the Marvels was targeted at, who was their target audience. And some people were arguing that it is Gen Z and millennials that are single. It is the single cat lady, right? So I said, okay, we've got to do something on this, because I thought to myself, am I a Disney adult, right? And because I was somebody who visited the park. So what I wanted to start with was, to you guys, in your opinion, right? And we can go, Mexican Iron Man and Jay, in turn, what is the definition for you of a Disney adult? Maybe start with Mike.
Oh, well, I'll take. I'll start with my sister and my niece who are in the chat. One of whom are single. They've both been one's married and one's been engaged for a long time and getting married, and been in a long time happy marital relationships, but they're adults and they love Disney. And my sister, I mean, here, I'll read you. I was asking her some questions during the show, and I think, look, when I look at my little sister, and she's free to disagree with me in chat, but I think what probably a lot of it is I remember being a little kid and watching the joy that she had as a little kid walking around the park in Anaheim, which she's did much more often with my dad and mom than even when I was around. But there's that joy that I think is still there. In fact, one of the questions I asked her, I'm just reading off the text. She and I have been going at it for about an hour now before this show. And I said, I'm going to ask you some questions. And so I asked her a bunch of questions. And one of them is, I said, what is it like giving your dollars to Disney knowing that they're pretty woke? And she says, well, I like the churros and I love the Haunted Mansion.
So is that your standard? You have to like churros in the Haunted Mansion? Is that the definition of a Disney adult for you?
I don't know. I think what it is I think it's symbolic of a youthful joy that maybe she has, and it drives me absolutely nuts. Now, one of my other questions is I said, what is it like being the sister of a big brother that's constantly battling Disney? Because I think I may not be a YouTuber, but if when I do show up on YouTube, I'm giving shit to Disney. And her answer was just a flat out, well, you know how I feel? It's awesome to be your little sister because in April you're taking me again. And there's just this like that to just tell me that to my face is
so okay. In criminal law, we have something called mens rea, right? You have to have a mental state. When you murder somebody, you have to have a mental state of intent, right? Is there a mental state that has to go there? Or if I go to Disney as an adult, does that automatically make me a Disney adult, regardless of my mental state? If I just go there to get a beer at Epcot, does that make me a Disney adult?
Well, look, when my little sister shows me that she's got a backpack and it's a Stormtrooper backpack that she got at Disney and she's joyous about it as if we were little kids and she got a princess, I think, they still have joy. That when you are an adult,
there's a mental state there. That's a mental state. That's a mental state.
That is a mental state because I have a mental state that I hate this freaking company. I hate what they've done to Star Wars. I hate what they've done to Marvel. I hate what they're doing at culture. I hate what they're doing to everything. That is my mental state. But my sister and my niece's mental state is when is Uncle Mike taking me, for my birthday?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Speaking of Uncle Mike taking people for their birthday, Tom Connors, a guy who has definitely been taken some places by Mexican Iron Man for his birthday.
Not yet, but I hope to someday. Mikey is kind of like my surrogate father, though. He does own me. So.
That's very much true. That's very much true. Welcome, Tom. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. How's everybody doing?
Very good. I don't have my voice, which is why I brought on a bunch of guests today. So
hopefully my mead raid finds us because I sent them the link for tomorrow's show. Because for some reason on my end, this show was not showing up. I had to go digging for it.
I'm heavily censored. That's what it is.
I'm sure it is.
Heavily censored. Oh, I love it.
Well, Jay, what do you think a Disney adult is?
Yeah. So being around this area a lot, I think you can have a love for the Disney parks and for what they used to represent because they do have a lot of classic stuff there from years past that certain people still find like the nostalgia value and joy. I remember when they were like closing down Splash Mountain and we went to cover it. If you don't know, for Geeks and Gamers, I help run the theme park channel that we have there. We do theme park news from all different parks. But when they were closing down Splash Mountain, there was somebody in front of us in the line, and she had a picture of her father who had passed away. And she just wanted to ride it one last time because that was her father's favorite ride, and she just wanted to relive. I wouldn't classify that as a Disney adult. What I see today is things that they normally would make for children that these adults are so obsessed to have, such as popcorn buckets, sippers, Mickey ears, the clothing, the plushies, the things like that. These people will wait 6 hours standing up in the hot sun just to get their hands on it to take it home. And it is, it's a constant thing where they feel like the rest of the world is a terrible place, but as long as I'm at Disney World, then I'm in a happy place. So I will spend my money on all things Disney. So we've seen them, like the way they dress, the way they act, the way they like everything. It doesn't matter how much Disney charges. It doesn't matter what the product is. They just love it. And so they want to have it and they want to own it. And, like I remember I have one actually over here, the Figment popcorn bucket when it was released like a year ago. People waited 6 to 8 hours to get.
That requires a level of dedication and a mentality that is beyond like.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And so it's like for a $20 plastic. Like I said, I have one sitting over there. The reason why I have one
popcorn bucket or a popcorn bucket.
You want to see what it looks like? My friend,
go get the figment bucket.
My friend that works there was like, "You want one, Jay?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "All right, just come like 2 days. I'll put one on the side." I didn't wait in any line, and they just gave it to me. But yeah, this is what people waited 8 hours just to have in their home. Hold on one second.
Yeah, speaking of which, let me get these quick. Patrick Kennedy, thank you for the 10 legal mindset memberships. Also, thank you for helping me collate and finish Adjudicator's Academy, my comics. So thank you so much for that. That should be done with Patrick's help very soon. But thank you guys, all those base chats and Stacy with memberships. We've had a baller month for memberships. So I just want to give a special shout out to everybody who's donated them. Low Watermark, Is It Live, Tank Rat, Patrick. Thank you all for memberships, and thank you for these today. Make sure you guys have turned on to accept gift memberships to get those in. And then you get some member chaps like Jim Satala, who's been a member for 9 months, who says, will Disney suffer from how bad the Marvel money is? Put a pin in that. In fact, I'm going to save this chat because I want to talk about the Marvel specifically. We'll get back to that. I'm going to save this one. So thank you. Okay,
what the hell is that?
Bucket. This is Figment. This is
where do you put the fucking popcorn? Where's the popcorn go? I'm worried.
You pop the back out here and you put it inside here. So people wear this around their neck and walk around the park. And if you bring this back to the park, you can get cheaper popcorn. I guess it's a discount. So yeah, they waited 6 to 8 hours just to get this. And this is like, so this is how Disney adults work. So people that want one, they make sure that it has like this special color band, because if they get a different type of band, it's not an official original one. So it's that's the passion. Now this thing probably costs it's like light, it's plastic, probably costs $3 to make for whatever reason.
In China.
So. And that sells for how much in the aftermarket?
Well, they were like the day they came out, they were selling for over $1,000 on eBay.
Jesus Christ, $1,000?
Yeah.
Speaking of money, we've got Mickey Mouse Can Eat It, which that's great.
Mom, when I grow up, I want to go to Disney World and tell Mickey to kiss this all over my sweet big fat ass.
And of course.
Hey, what's up?
This is Valiant Renegade.
Yes, man. Take me to Disney World and Mickey can kiss my big ass.
Who only comes and causes problems on my streams, which is what I love. Welcome, Valiant. Good to see you, brother. So no, we just go through. I think Jay gave the best so far.
Yeah, so it's definitely it's definitely it's basically like some of the clothes and the plushes and stuff that's definitely designated for children. Disney makes them in adult size so that they can wear that and have that as part of whatever. Is there a mental tick to some of this stuff? I think so. It's definitely an obsession. The fact that there are people in this world that were paying over $1,000 for this. On eBay for a few months. It's like, I mean, that's, I should have sold, honestly, I should have sold it. Like I was like, this was given to me 3 days after they started selling it by, I have cast members that are friends and family that work. So it's like, they always let me know like what the heck is going on and stuff like that. So it's like, like the other thing too with Disney adults is their sense of entitlement when they're inside the park is off the chart massive. Like it is seriously like there's like a certain set of this is so bizarre. There's a certain set of theme park rules that you must follow when you're walking in the general walk. On the right side, you have to go this way. The left side, you go this way, kind of like traffic. If you stop in the middle, you're breaking the rules. If you're not doing certain things, you're breaking the rules. If you get like something from a quick service stand and you stand over here, you're breaking the rules, and they will let you know out loud. Even though that's not a specific rule that's in the park, they will tell you, you cannot stand here. You have to move, blah, blah, blah. It's really dumb. And for a lot of, for the most part, people break the rules just to see them get all upset. So there's that type of thing too. There's also like, they have all these hidden rules. These Disney adults get mad at you if you start to sing the songs on a ride, if you start to talk during ride, if you do that, like whatever it is, it's like all these like secret rules that they have in Disney. Universal doesn't really have like universal adults, at least not yet. But it's starting to bleed over.
Well,
With a lot of the Minion stuff and stuff like that. There's definitely like the Harry Potter craze at Universal is off the charts too. So
okay, let me get some comments from the new guys here. So Valiant, Tom, and we go start with Tom and then go to Valiant. What I wanted to just get was what is a Disney adult real quick. So my question is it just somebody who visits Disney, or is there a requisite mental state? Tom, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that. I want to expand on that.
Yeah, I mean, I concur a lot with what's been said already. I'm sure, even though if I didn't hear it all before I got here, but yeah, these guys know what they're talking about. But the other part of it is that Disney is a lifestyle brand, right? Like, so in that, it's in every aspect of these people's lives. If you're a Disney nerd, like everything you eat, drink, sleep, do has something to do with Disney. You have your toothbrush is a Disney brand toothbrush with some character on it. You have your favorite character, which you collect all of the things of, and you have maybe several characters that you choose depending on what it is, or maybe you're somebody who's into the classic animation films or the animation things. So, or maybe you're a Pixar nerd. There's several layers to this whole thing, to where there's all kinds of different Disney nerd adults, and they are probably some of the worst fan base of this whole thing, because they are the ones who bitch about gatekeeping and stuff when they are the real gatekeepers in a lot of this stuff. And then as far as the park experience, I can't speak to that so much, but I totally probably agree with whatever Jay said, because he knows that part of it inside and out. And yeah, there's a sense of entitlement when it comes to the Disney nerds.
The reason why there's a sense of entitlement too, as well, is because at the Disney theme parks, they sell things that you can't get anywhere else except for the theme park. So it's like they feel like, look what I have, look what I got. This is and then that brings up a whole nother class of people called the resellers. And people do this full time for a living, that they make over $100,000 a year, literally going to Disney and buying stuff like this and reselling it for like 10 times what it's worth, because they know that people that don't live in Orlando or can't get to Disney every day, they want this stuff because they collect Disney, whatever. And so they know people will buy it. And those people, I think they're some of the rudest people like ever. They'll go in and literally buy up the entire, like in one setting, they'll spend thousands of dollars. They got a new shirt, whatever it is. They just buy it all. As soon as the park opens, they buy it all, and immediately it's up on eBay for like 10 times, like not even like double the price, like 10 times.
I hate
the price.
To say this, but this is in every fandom or lifestyle brand, Jay. Like right down to physical media. And even Taylor Swift, right? Like this is what happened to Taylor Swift this last year with the ticket thing. You had a bunch of people go in and buy a bunch of the tickets up and resell them for astronomical. Like people were paying $3,000 to $6,000 for tickets, right? Like it's crazy.
You have to stop that. I mean, back in the day, I remember someone was playing an old video of a queue for PlayStation 2s. And I remember even back then they would limit it to like one system, right? So they've realized like people are resellers. You have to put things in place to stop resale, or these things are going to end up with a figment price spike of $1,000 for a popcorn bucket where you're literally inserting your arm into a dragon's ass. So, it gets a little ridiculous at a certain point if you allow the resale.
No, it's in the toy collectors and every collecting pretty much fandom. There's those scalpers like that.
Yeah. So Valiant, I want to give you the chance to speak here. Obviously you can speak on it if you want to from a film perspective or from a theme parks perspective, whatever. But in your definition, when you hear the word Disney adult, whether that's from a demographic standpoint, what do you think of? What's your definition of that?
I mean, look, I think a lot of people here have already kind of touched on it. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that it seems like it's especially the adults, or at least I always think of it as the adults that don't have kids, the childless adults that are in their 30s and 40s that are routinely visiting the parks out of a manner of obsession. And I mean, obviously, I'm not talking about people that live in Orlando. They happen to be right there, and they go do that for a fun thing, or they do vlogs like Jay does. I mean, right? That's not the same thing. We're talking about the people, like when I think of it, especially from the money side of things, I think of people I know, clients working in the financial industry, working with people in budgets and things like this. And I hear them talk about, they make modest incomes, but they will spend years repeatedly, and they'll do this 3-4 times, just saving every dime they can to go on a big Disney vacation. That's the only kind of vacation they ever do. They go to Disney. It's like, you could take that $5,000 and probably fly to France. It's
I'll show you a damn good time in Asia with $5,000.
Right.
I mean, that'll go a long way in some countries. So,
but they have everything they have is Minnie Mouse on the shirt or some Disney character. And I get this, and I've had clients like that. And again, the ones that are always like that are the ones that are older, that never have kids or maybe have been estranged from their kids for a while. And it's almost like, to me, I think of the Disney adult as a specific type of adult that's so obsessed with Disney in trying to recapture their own youth. There's some disconnect there where they believe that by staying engaged and obsessed with Disney, that they will remain forever young. And I'm not saying there's anything necessarily wrong with that, but you asked me what I think of when I think of a Disney adult.
Yes.
It's a level of obsessive compulsion that rises beyond just, hey, we're gonna take a vacation. We're gonna be down in Florida. We're gonna go stop at Disney and go to the parks for a couple days.
Not simply because you throw on the mini ears. What's up, Lorena?
Right. No.
That transition.
Here's one of the better Diz nerds. This is not one of the nerds that we're talking about. Is one of the.
No, Lorena's not obsessive.
I'll tell you this much. That is exactly my kind of Disney adult. Hello.
Hello.
Hey, welcome.
Very festive indeed.
Good. And Lorena, welcome on my channel. You and Jay, it's the first time I'm having you on my channel, even though I've joined you on a lot of other channels. So welcome to my channel. I finally found an excuse to invite y'all.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me here.
No problem. And while I'm here, I'll throw it to you, and then I'll let you transition topics. So you can let me know, Lorena, what your definition of Disney adult is. And then I want you to start, and I'll probably bounce back to Jay because he's the other subject matter expert here on the theme parks. You're a theme park girl. You go to the theme parks, you know the theme parks. So tell me what you think a Disney adult is, and then whether you think it's a good thing for the theme parks, because, and I'll get into this article. This is one of the articles that also inspired me on this one. You had a article from Business Insider on the company pouring $60 billion, when we can debate those numbers. Like Valiant and Mexican Iron Man are frothing at the mouth when they see a number, right? So, that was promoting, this article was really saying how child-free adults, Disney adults, are a positive thing. So there's some arguments. I'll bring out the steel man here because it seems like most of you are kind of a little bit on the wary side or anti-side, but whether it's a good thing for the parks themselves, right? So take it away, Lorena.
Okay, well, what do I think a Disney adult is? Wow. Well, let me answer this by saying this, because some people are like, oh, you're a Disney adult. I said, no, there's a difference. I am an adult who likes Disney. Now, there's a difference between those two things. Adults who like Disney or who love Disney are beholden to the traditional values of the Walt Disney Company, including their entertainment, including their films, including their movies. Those are the things that you spend money on. Not only were you fortunate enough to go as a kid, you probably went to Disney World on spring break. You may have gotten married there. You have family vacations there. You may have family reunions there. It's a generational type of thing. But as an adult who loves Disney, you understand that there's a line that when Disney crosses it, you're like, oh, no, hell no. Case in point, I've stayed at the Grand Floridian. I've stayed at the Polynesian several times back when it was pricey, but it was doable because of all the stuff that you got in exchange. 3 hours in the park at night. You're in the park from 11 p.m. or actually 12 p.m. to 3 in the morning. Riding Pirates of the Caribbean as many times as you want. Don't even have to get off, just keep going. Great place to stay, great perks, and the value for the dollar was there. Now, let's say you go to starting with 2018, when it's damn near over $1,200 to stay for one night at the Polynesian. So adults who love Disney like me are like, hell no. Guess what? We're going over to Pop Century. So you'll see all of these luxury cars and buses over at the value resorts because we're not paying that type of money. We're not paying for merchandise that, isn't worth the value it is. It doesn't give you good value for the dollar. It's something crappy. You can get something way better, on Etsy. When events like the Food and Wine Festival, that used to be a very upscale, event.
Very upscale.
Wine
It used to be very upscale.
Extremely upscale. They'd have, I think a couple of times they would have chefs that were actually there at the booth preparing things, and you could take classes and wine tasting and all of that stuff. Now, Food and Wine starts in July, and it's basically like a kegger now instead of, a relaxed wine tasting. People with the shirts, we all knew about Drink Around the World. Everyone knew that. It's open secret. But when you have people
I've done both
openly
ways.
drunk,
I've done both ways on drinking around the world. I'm a start in Canada type of guy, but
start in Canada.
Canada,
I'm one of those where I don't drink around the world, but I drink in the Polynesian a lot. And sometimes I wonder how I got to the Magic Kingdom. That Tambu Lounge bar site is something else. So that's when I say I'm an adult who loves Disney. When you have Disney adults, you have a certain group of people, usually no kids. I will say that, usually no kids.
Mm-hmm.
Everything goes to Disney. Every Loungefly bag that comes out. Now, I'm a Loungefly fan. I own about 8 of these darn things, but I'm very judicious about the ones that I get. Everyone that comes out, they're getting. Any movie Disney puts out, guess what? They're there front and center. It doesn't matter that it's warmed over crap. They're going to go see it. It doesn't matter how much Disney raises the prices on their hotel rooms and their admission. They are still going to do everything sort of probably donating blood to get to go there.
They literally go into more debt.
Literally go into more debt. There's people I know I've done, not going to debt, but I would have a savings account.
If you are going into debt to go to Disney, you have a problem. You need to seek counseling, therapy. I think Mike is taking consultations right now on that sort of therapy.
Well, Lorena is
Andrew,
correct because
I've heard people walk away from their houses.
No, Lorena,
yes,
no,
yes,
no, they're
yes.
in houses up in here to go to Disney.
Let me tell you.
That's crazy.
If you go to the Disboards, okay, go back to when the housing crisis blew up. Read some of the posts. We're walking away from our house because we want to spend 3 weeks at the Polynesian at Disney World. I kid you not.
No,
sorry,
okay. I will say this. I worked in So I worked in timeshare. That's the most evil thing I ever did was work in timeshare. And I do know people that walked away from houses for timeshares, right? For their Disney timeshares to keep their DVC or whatever else, right? They walked away from property, from real property. They sold it. We had a second house. We're selling this for DVC. And I'm like, so you're selling fee simple total ownership of an asset for literally you own nothing, right? Okay, cool. If you own some fucking Disney bucks, awesome. But that was the value to them.
What's the difference between a Disney adult, an adult who likes Disney, and the term I've heard called a pixie duster?
So, okay, I think I'm going to put because what I'm hearing from you guys is this. Adult who likes Disney, pretty much all of you agree, it's not just because you go. I mean, Jay made a very serious point. Obviously, look, there's people that maybe their dad or their mom, they went there with them, they passed away, they go there. Just because you go to the park once doesn't make you a Disney adult. I don't think that makes you a Disney adult. If you have kids, if you are a person with children and you are bringing your children there, I don't think that makes you a Disney adult, right? Now, with Disney adult, there's that mental state, right? Whether it's waiting for a Figment popcorn bucket, mortgaging your house, or battling people in the forums and in the comment section of whether it's Valiant's videos, Midnight's Edge. You guys get folks that will defend Disney no matter what. They can just turn out any shitty movie and they're going to defend it no matter what. And when you really push into that defending it no matter what, Disney can do no wrong, I think that goes into the level of pixie dust, right? To me, pixie dust is not just Disney adult, because some Disney adults will give criticism of Disney. I know ones that'll say, okay, it was better last year. They'll say, oh, well, it was better. You know, Food and Wine was better last year. It was better, you know, the year before, whatever. They'll say that. But
I'll tell you what, man,
is,
Disney
they
adults
do no
were
wrong.
they were not happy with that Jollywood, that's for sure.
Woo!
But see, that's where we are with Disney now, and the group of Disney adults that they have collected that will spend the money at the parks with all the merchandise and things like that. They are the biggest problem is now is they are slowly pushing them out, because what they used to offer for free, and Lorena can correct me, but so it's like right now, if you want to celebrate, if you want to go to the Disney Christmas party, you now have to buy an extra ticket
for $179,
which it used to be free.
Tax $190.
Yeah, so
$190.
So now, if you go to the parks over the holiday season, the parks are now shut down earlier. So they're not open up later when they used to be open up later. You could stay till like you said, like Lorena said, like 1 o'clock in the morning, and you'd watch the fireworks, and then it'd be nice and cool out in Florida, and you go ride rides and stuff. Now it's hey, we're gonna shut the park down at 5 and 6 because people that paid an extra $200, they're gonna stay and watch a parade and some fake snow. So it's, you know, it's there. This is something that, and like the whole Jollywood thing was like a new thing. And again, they shut down a park early, so you're not really getting the total, you know, value of like the ticket, because the ticket prices go up over the holidays as well. So now they're shutting it down early. So they're literally starting to push out these people that are spending money. They're like, how much can we squeeze from these people? You know, like how much more can we squeeze from these people? And, you know, it's going to be interesting to see, like, if people are mortgaging their houses and donating. There is a story out there of a woman who donates blood, and she keeps the money so she can go to Disney.
That's nuts.
So
that's crazy. That's me passing the fucking line. That's a line that's above. Right?
Well,
there's a special
just to kind of
place
add to Jay's point a little bit. I went to the Disney Christmas party, I want to say probably 15, 20 years ago. It was about $50 a person, 50 or $60. And you got a good value out of it. You got to get into the park at 4 p.m. before it started. So it was like it was an extra charge, but it wasn't obscenely high charge like it is now.
It was an extra charge. It was an extra charge, but it was for an extra service. They were providing
exactly.
Extra
It was an extra service. And with Jollywood, and I said this on WD Pro's channel last week. With Jollywood, all of that stuff was free last year. For the most part, not the Tip Top Club. That was something else that they added on. The Muppet Show, that was something else that they added on. But like Jingle Bell, Jingle Bam, all the snow, all of that stuff was free.
Yeah.
All you had to do.
And at Universal, it still is, right? At Universal's equivalent of that is still free.
Still free. I was there
now.
Last
One
night.
thing I want to bring up, because we got drunk, so I got to bring this up before you bounce the booze. But before I get to the booze, let me just hit these super chats real quick, or super stickers. $20 Leprechaun Gold. Thank you so much for the super sticker. And then another 10. We got some Shibas. Thank you so much. Your support really helps the channel and helps me grow and push this out there. Also, Billy Aoki sends a member chat. Bro lost his voice from screaming about Disney. Yes. And partying with hot Thai girls till 4 a.m. Continuing on. We're going to get on the movies there later. Brandon says, holy shit, a year. Me love you long time. Long live Legal Mindset, the panel, and anime Izakaya's life. Tomorrow is my channel anniversary stream. This we're talking about Disney adults today. But Brandon, I believe I've invited you to my channel anniversary stream. So I will see you tomorrow on that. That'll be good. Just popping in, saying hi, having fun. I'll be doing Tahara the dog. I'll be drinking in the morning. Do not worry about it. It'll be a great time. And a lot of everybody on this panel is openly invited to come if you guys are free. Right. But Jay, alcohol. Okay. So this is one of the biggest pivots that Disney has done. One of the biggest things in Magic Kingdom was no alcohol in Magic Kingdom. That was always a thing, right? That was, when I grew up, that was a big thing. And people made this point. I remember even my grandparents, when they were alive, made this point that Walt kept alcohol out of Magic Kingdom. They were very conservative Christians, you know, and they kind of were of that mindset of, you know, alcohol doesn't belong in a family setting. What is your thought? Because part of this Gen Z millennial marketing is they always have to have a cocktail, right? They always have to be drinking. So what do you think? What does drunk 3PO think about alcohol in the parks? I'm very curious.
They really did what they have done to get people to buy some of the alcohol. If you get alcohol in the parks, you better be expected to drink water. So you really got to consume a lot of it to actually, I guess, feel like you've had a drink. But so what they've done to get people to drink more is they've made like specialty drinks at different places, at different restaurants and stuff like that. They're like, you can buy this alcoholic drink. It's only here at this place. So you got to try it, you know. But I will say this, that since they started selling alcohol in all the parks, there's been a lot more fights at Magic Kingdom. Like, and some of the more crazy, and I'm so aggravated that I'm not there for one of them because I'm 6'4", 270. I tell people this all the time. If a fight goes down, I'm turning on the record and I'm running right in there, man. Like that's my million viewed video right there.
You're just yelling Leroy Jenkins and going in there.
I'm going for it. If I get a little roughed up, I'll be all right, man.
He's finally going to get a Disney fight video, except he's going to be the one that started before he.
I'm just going to run in there with the camera. So I will say this: there was a fight that was brewing at Universal, and it was and I was there, and some of our park hopping people were there, and I was like, "Hold on, everybody, stop!" Like you could see the people; they started yelling. Started getting louder, started in his face. So I'm ready with my camera. And man, before it even the police were there. Everything was like de-escalated. And like they took care of that, like boom, like that. At Disney, they have a rule, and I don't know if it's changed, and someone can correct me, that if you're a Disney security, you're not allowed to touch anyone. You're kind of there as a symbol. So they basically, like, if they see something going down, they got to call the real police and wait for the real police to show up. That's why these fights happen and they last for so long at the parks, because these people can't really separate it. So
you know, it's funny you say that. I was at Universal in Southern California, and something was brewing. And man, I got to tell you, these guys came out of nowhere, and they literally took 5 people and they were just gone through some side thingy behind the fence, and they just swarmed. It was crazy.
Yeah. So it's a little
They're watching. I mean, it's 2023. We have the technology, right? To have cameras, to have microphones, to have everything they need to see the incident and to respond in a tactful way, to go in surgically, get the people, get them out, because there's cast entrances everywhere. Right.
Well, the reason for the alcohol is money. I mean, that's the bottom line. It's like,
and let me ask you, Jay, how much? Because I was looking with Jollywood Nights and some of the cocktails. Is it about standard to be about $10, maybe even 15 for a cocktail at Disney? What's the
almost 15 and higher? I would say, depending on what you get. Like, they have a drink on the Disney Wish that's $5,000.
I'm sorry.
What?
They also have a drink at Galaxy's Edge that's what's like 110. You do get like little collector Rancor teeth that are plastic that you can take home.
Okay.
So that's filled with a little bit, and so their drinks are expensive. The $5,000 drink is it's on the cruise, the Disney Wish.
I think. Wait, are you talking about the one that's in the high-end bar on the 12th deck? And it's
in the Star Wars. It's in the Star Wars bar.
the Star Wars drink. Okay.
Yeah, that one. What's that? The Kyber Crystal drink or something?
Oh,
like
that thing. That's the one.
Does it give you a free ride on the now defunct?
No, but you know what it does give you? If you order that drink, they put balloons in your room.
Oh, balloons!
Wow!
Oh my! Can I get balloons?
Is there something in the balloons? I'm just asking.
Yeah, can I get high off the balloon? Like, is that?
Yeah, for $5,000. Like I said, I better be getting something more than balloons.
Yeah,
it's mini waiting for me. You know?
They have
a lot more than balloons blown. That's for sure.
But so it's like that is like they definitely the drinks are expensive, and they're watered down, and they try. You know how it is. Like, it's a theme park, so they try to do it fancy and like, here, buy this collector's cup with it. It lights up, things like that. The thing that was a little different with Universal, and again, Lorena can correct me because I know she's at the parks as much as I am to report, is Universal, like for the Halloween special, like you could buy a collector's cup at Universal, but if you buy a collector's cup, you can use it again and get discounts on their alcohol.
That is correct. Yes.
So yeah, so it's like they give you a little incentive to go and buy an alcoholic drink. So you get you get their collector's cup, and then if you bring it back or you go to another station, they'll fill it up and it'll be cheaper than the advertised price on so at least there's an incentive there to do that.
Right, the old popcorn trick, right? You buy the popcorn bucket, you get the popcorn for cheaper, right?
Yeah.
You buy the
But I don't know. I don't know anybody putting. This is what when they sell this to you. I don't know if they did this for Lorena.
Practical.
So the popcorn that they're supposed to have it filled inside.
No, you got one too.
Yeah, I only waited an hour, and
they give you a plastic bag of popcorn that you could stick in there. And
was it the rainbow popcorn? Well,
yeah, it was rainbow.
They ran out of the rainbow popcorn, so they had a little bag. No. They didn't have the popcorn, so they gave us Figment Sporks instead.
Yeah. I think
because they ran out of popcorn. Oh, and by the way,
you got to keep those sporks, baby.
I got my Ecto 1 popcorn bucket at Ghostbusters Afterlife. I'm done. I'm good.
I miss
Matrix with $2 says, "Hey Andrew, Tipsy super chatting, very appropriate as we talk about alcohol. Love this live." And then Q Revere for $5 says, "6 shots deep. Not at the Magic Kingdom. And coming in late, is there someone on earth willing to publicly argue the good side?" Yeah, I'll argue. I'll steel man later. I will steel man later. But first, I want to go to Valiant because I know he's a little bit limited on time as well. So Valiant, I'll let you chime in if you want to talk about booze. You are a Cajun, so y'all have
the booze down on there,
down on the bayou, But if you want to talk about that, it's fine. But also maybe segueing in, because it's your thing, into movies and the targeting of movies and how well that's worked out for Disney.
That's where things get weird, right? And I understand everything y'all are saying about having, changing the rules in the parks. I mean, it makes sense. Look,
does it make dollars and cents? Does it make dollars and cents?
It does. Look, I remember last time I was there, man, it's probably been at least 10 years, if not longer. But when I was there, the only place at that moment that you could find alcohol in the Magic Kingdom was at the restaurant at Beauty and the Beast. And I remember we had dinner there one night, and I was like, "Oh wait, I thought they would never had alcohol in the Magic Kingdom." Well, that was the one place they had it. I guess it's since expanded, or at least it seems like that over the years. I don't know if that probably is to cater more towards that adult side. I mean, look, we've heard Bob Chapek, Bob Iger, they've all talked about it. I mean, when you have 50% of your Disney Plus subscriber base are childless adults.
Oh, excuse me, can you repeat that? Repeat that statistic one more time.
50% of all Disney Plus subscribers.
All.
Yeah. They're not, don't have kids.
Wow.
Half the Disney
Plus.
Yeah.
Huge.
So they're either, and now some of that might be, the 20-year-old or something that just got out of college first, and they're still kind of into the Disney stuff. Some of that could also be the Disney adults, like you're talking about here, that still have kind of that obsession. So, I mean, when you look at some of the content and programming, this is one of the reasons that Disney is so game towards getting things like Hulu and Disney Plus to merge into a unified login. I mean, it saves them billions of dollars over time as well to have it that way, but they know what their audience is. Now, does that mean that everybody that's subscribing to Disney Plus that doesn't have kids, that's a childless adult, is a Disney adult? No, probably not. But it just goes to show you they are trying to cater to this audience that they have. They know who's coming to the parks. And what should be concerning, and I've talked about this before, and that is that what Disney had better start recognizing is that this isn't an advantage. This is a major problem. The generational passing down the line of Disney to kids after kids after kids after it's dying. It's dying. There is a generational gap that is forming right now for Disney audiences that is huge. And nobody wants to talk about it. I promise you Disney knows, but of course they're never going to say anything in public. But when you see that their movies going into the movie side of things are no longer connecting, right? They're not bringing in young audiences. Look at the people that just went to go see the Marvels. 63, 64% were men. They were adult men.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Whoa. 63% of the misogynist, horrible, bigoted men went to go see the Marvels.
Well, of the audience the Marvels got, which was a pitiful little audience, was 63% men on its opening weekend. And the number of kids that went to go see it, I think it was those, I think they
share it. I got it right here.
Yeah, go ahead. I know Deadline's got it.
Wow.
19%.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it fell in half. And I mean, people, and again, that's when a lot of those kids, those younger kids, went to go see Captain Marvel. Why? Because everything around it was huge, right? Nobody went to go see Captain Marvel to go see Captain Marvel. They went to go see it because you had to go see it before Endgame.
Correct.
What they're dealing with now is the fact that these things that they're specifically, quote unquote, trying to make for younger generations, they're not even coming close to hitting that zeitgeist. I mean, they're way off the mark. And when you look at the people who are going to see these films, the ones that are going to theaters, you watch, Wish, just like Strange World and Lightyear, I bet you are going to have one of the lowest under 18 demographics of any Disney film they've had in ever. Because the people that are going to go see Wish are going to be the 20-something-year-olds, the adult kids, that are still going to go see these things, not with their own kids, but just to go see it because it's a Disney movie. Now, of course, there's going to be some kids seeing it.
Let me make this argument. So people are waiting for the steel man. Here's my steel man. The argument that Business Insider argued is that it is smart to target these childless adults because they have more disposable income. They're like the gay uncle, right? He can give better gifts because, well, he doesn't have to deal with kids the rest of the year, right? He can just give you a good gift, right? Mm-hmm. So the argument is, hey, look, since they don't have to pay for school, for clothes, for medical costs, all this other stuff, they've got money. So is that not, from a certain financial sense, in the short term, isn't that
the short term
decision?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
The short term. and catering to that. Yeah. The short term. That's the key word, is that this is not going to sustain the long term. And look, let's be honest. I don't think we need to go into much detail about how fickle these generations that we're talking about tend to be. This is what, we commonly refer to as the TikTok generation. And yes,
we're talking about Gen Z or talking about millennials right now?
The overlap between them in many cases. I mean,
there's a lot of rough. Jay, you're about I'm a millennial, right? It's a pretty broad. Yeah, no, but it's a pretty broad generation, right? It's a pretty broad generation in terms of like the scope. Yeah. I find there's a big difference between people that are, I'm 86, right? So somebody's born 86, 87, 88, 89. There's a big difference between those guys and the guys born in the late 90s.
Yes. Yeah, you're totally right.
Big difference.
Yeah. So let's say the younger millennials and then into Gen Z. How about that? Sure. There's some bleed over there, but I mean, you're talking about, this might be a thing for them now. And yes, they might have, quote unquote, more disposable income based on the idea that they don't have kids that are costing them anything. But then again, you also look at the same people they're talking about that saying have, quote unquote, more disposable income. What do they also have right now, statistically, factually? The highest average debt load, credit card debt of the last 4 generations ever. I mean, for those people in their 30s, they have no savings and they have a lot of debt. Where's some of this debt going? Well, I guess they're running up debt to go to Disney World every other year, maybe.
Not just that, they're adult kids living at home. That's another thing that's on the rise, too.
That's the other thing, too. Yeah, they have more disposable income because they're, 25, 30 years old and still living with mom and dad because whatever. And I'm saying this because I see this. I've had clients now. I've had clients over the years where they have these adult children still living at home. And it's like, well, they still go out on the weekends. They do whatever they want. They take trips and all this kind of stuff. And they just live at home rent free. And mom and dad are just like never fixing the problem. Again.
So you see a lot of overlap there. We're saying it's like, there's a lot of overlap when you say you've got a kid that is at home. He's like been living at home for a long time. Or he or she, right? Or it, whatever, Apache helicopter, whatever they identify as. This person is living with you and they don't have any plans to move out. And if you ask the question, do they like Disney? I think it's likely to be a yes, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that's that suspension of adulthood.
I think they like going to like get away from problems. Like I think they really feel Disney definitely has a lot. There's a lot of special people that go to Disney a lot to make themselves feel like, because listen, it doesn't matter what your sexual orientation is. It doesn't matter if you're thin, if you have like, if you've been going to the gym every day, or if you weigh like 900 pounds, you're going to go there and everybody that works there is going to treat you like a prince or a princess. Have a magical day. Is there anything I can do to help you? Can I help you? Oh, you look great. Oh, this is wonderful. Oh yeah, have another ice cream. Aren't they wonderful? It's a constant reassuring that you are special and you are, you know, you're the most important person. And this is what they're trained to do. Like,
yeah.
And it keeps them.
Is that a bad thing though, Jay? Should they stop that? I mean, like,
no, I don't know. I don't know if necessarily if they should stop that. But what I'm saying is, for the person that goes there, you're talking about showing up, riding a fantasy ride where they can escape the realism of their life. Their life might be pretty miserable or whatever. They feel that they have this. Some of them have this delusion that, you know, I'm afraid to come out because I'm gay or whatever. But if I go there, like, it's a safe place. So I'm safe to be whoever I am. You know, I'm a guy that could dress like a woman. I could do whatever. I'm safe. Right. So I could do that at Disney and no one will judge me and no one will say anything and no one will do whatever. And that's the kind of stuff that they've built over there. You know, it's like, oh, I can share my pronoun. They put the pronouns on the badges now and stuff like that. So it's like they've built this place. And so people, there's a certain group of people that enjoy going there because they feel safe. They feel loved. They feel accepted. They feel like I don't know. It's just like what it is. So it's like wherever they go and whatever they do in these parks, they're going to be catered to as if they're the most important person in the world. And I guess for the certain individual, that's the kind of reassurance that they need. So they will continue to go there and spend money because it makes them feel good.
Now, I'm going to
does that make sense?
No, it makes complete sense. I'm going to go to Mike because Mike, I think, may actually have something to say here. So it seems to me you've got your family right in the chat, Mike. And you know, to me, listening to your story, I remember the beginning that you were like this disaffected liberal, like Southern California. When I'm hearing what Jay is saying, I am painting this picture of the hyper victim SoCal guy who ends up going to Disney to escape it because I can be myself, right? There's a much of political merger. Do you see in your family, right? I'm not talking to smack talk them or anything like that, but and the folks that are engaged in that, do they tend to be more politically minded? Do they tend to be more engaged on that front?
I don't think so. I think it's more it's more like let's go back to what Jay said about getting away from things. I think I had an interesting talk with my sister who is in the chat one time, and she was having a really crappy day. And as ridiculous as what I'm about to say sounds, it's real. She was having an awful day. A bunch of shit was going down. And she wanted to use her annual pass to go see the castle and have some churros, like for real. Like that was her
that's her goal.
That's an escape. It's like an escape and a getaway from anything that's real and all this other stuff. And so I think that there's a lot of angles to this. What I'm concerned about with Disney in a political different way is I think that if 55% of their target base, if they're relying on the 55% Disney Plus base to gear the entire company towards, because the company has already been geared towards being a streaming entertainment company. That is everything that the stock value is based on. That's all they ever talk about on the earnings calls. It's like they're ignoring the fact that it's the parks that's the engine that drives the economics of Disney. But somehow they just don't give a shit, you know, yada, yada, yada. Anyway, what I'm concerned about is the fact that there are no new branded properties that they're introducing into these parks, and they seem to be allergic to the Snow Whites. When I originally subscribed to Disney Plus, going back before the last few years that I've been a Disney woke crusader, I actually did have a vision that my mom, my sister, me, my kid, we would all be watching Disney Plus, enjoying Snow White, some Bambi, maybe even some Song of the South, all the classics.
A little bit Uncle Remus.
All the classics. And that would like transcend. And, you know, I did, look, I'm going to say it. I originally subscribed because I thought me and Max, my 10-year-old, were going to, like, he was going to get that same joy my sister still has that maybe I once had. Yeah,
nice.
There you go.
Tom, nice.
And this company better wake up real quickly, and they better realize that that they need to reorient themselves and deal with their branded properties, because Universal's coming out. I'll tell you this one. I went to Universal. I'm not even a Harry Potter guy. The movies bored the snot out of me. I'm no Duppeldorf. I'm not a Mexican dwarf or whatever the hell.
Well, hold on. You have not. Oh, Mike, you did not do the 400 question personality test.
No.
I will tell you right now, in Orlando, that got me laid more than anything else. Was putting my Harry Potter.
Well, Mexican Iron Man doesn't need a
there.
Personality test for.
I did the test and I came out puffing stuff.
But when I made a right turn and walked into Universal, I made a
Slytherin, baby.
I made a right turn into that Harry Potter experience, and I was like, holy shit! I was like in another planet. Now Disney needs to do the same thing.
This comment here, because I know Mexican Iron Man loves when people get comments read. This isn't a Valiant Renegade stream. Says, not enjoying my time as a Florida man again. Saw Epic Universe construction. It is quite a sight. Looking forward to that more than Disney. Good to see the panel. Have a good night.
That's what I'm talking about. These guys are going to unroll some major brands, and these brands are tied to the movies, and that's what Disney used to do. They tied their experiences in the park to the movies. And look, I haven't gone to Anaheim in a while with my sister, but the last time I went, good God, it looked tired, it looked old, and it didn't have the magic of when I was a kid.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is that I think that there's a very good point about not having kids and not bringing kids, and Valiant's made it, and much of made it, is I like Disney because I went there with my mom and dad. It has a sentimental reason. I know my dad is no longer with me, right? And so I remember when my dad would go there. I remember when my dad would be a cheap bastard and tell me he didn't want to buy a hot dog and Tomorrowland, and we had to wait till outside. But that's a fond memory now, right? Like now as an adult, I can be like, oh yeah, this is a ripoff, right? You know, I understand that as an adult. These are fond memories. That's the reason why I'm going. It's not because I'm suspending my belief. Right. But speaking of suspending belief, let me throw it to Tom here on the Marvels. So Tom, you know, your guy, Midnight's Edge, you cover a lot of videos and a lot of different films. So I had some member chats coming here. The new Marvel trailer with cats on the official channel. And then
saw that.
And then hold on. And then Mike and Michelle C, who says from 99, we are literally sailing on the Disney Wish right now. Could watch the Marvels or Wish, and my family has no desire to see either movie. Not even interested in watching them for free. So about movies, when you look at the Marvels, when you look at Wish, are they targeting these towards these Disney adults? And how is that working out for them?
Yeah, I mean, there's an argument to be made that they kind of are. And I mean, at the same time, you can't fault them for it after what Valiant had told you. I believe isn't it more than 50% of the subscribers to Disney Plus are kidless adults?
About half. Little over.
I thought it was a little over 50%. So right there,
50, yeah.
You know, yeah, and with the Marvels and Wish, at the end of the day, I've heard Wish is a god awful mess of mediocrity mixed with agenda, mixed with member berries, and then you have the Marvels, which is just the biggest flop in Marvel history. I mean, this thing is going to make Fantastic Four look good by the end of the day.
Even with a female Silver Surfer, it's still going to make him look good.
No, I mean the Fan Four Stick one that flopped from a couple of years back. But like, yeah, okay. Like, I mean, I'm trying to think of the lowest level of Marvel films at this point. Like, this is like I was sitting here trying to think. I'm like, has a movie of Marvel grossed this like little since like way back in the Punisher days of like Dolph Lundgren Punisher or something like that? Maybe. Like we're looking at a point where this movie might not even break 200 million worldwide, which would be a disaster. Because that not only is it a disaster for the Marvel Cinematic Universe as a whole, that movie at the end of the day, and I'm sure Valiant will tell you, they're already reporting a $270 million budget. That was their starting budget, basically. They've spent probably at least a 50 to 100 million more on that, especially considering they've had to reshoot it, 2-3 times now, Valiant, something like that. So
yeah, the 275 was only through July of 22. That didn't include anything that happened after July of 22, including all the reshoots that happened again in 23. So they're 375 minus some tax credits. Yeah.
So I was saying, somewhere in the 50 to 100 million more than that range. And say what you will about Nia DaCosta. I mean, she made a valid point when she's like, look, I didn't stick around for things because it seems like they already knew what they wanted. And I had other things I had to do. When I initially signed up for this was a 2-year deal, not 3.5 years.
Right.
And they kept moving the date on her. So,
Yeah,
and kept doing reshoots and doing other things.
Finished,
yeah.
Post production again this year. She was out. She was working completely going.
So 3.5 years they've spent working on this movie now. That's insane. Like, and we got the same thing going on with Warner Brothers and Aquaman, so it's not like they're alone. But yeah.
How is it that they end up greenlighting this? Do you think that the people that they're hauling into, because they do focus groups or something, right? Are they just hauling in influencers and
no, they're not really
adults? Like, who are they? Who is coming in and saying this is good? Right.
They're making this movie for people like Grace Randolph. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
This is all in fact, they just talked about this in the last couple of months where, up until very recently, and I'm talking about this year, when Disney did test screenings for these films, they were all Disney employees. They were Disney people. And the reason they did that was because they figured, well, we've already got them. They're employed here. We're going to have more power over them if they go talking. Not only is it an NDA issue, but it could also be a you're fired issue. So they could get the reactions. But like, it never occurred to them that the people sitting in there, are they really going to score their employer's movie poorly? And most of them may be Disney adults themselves that are going to score everything. Oh, it's wonderful. It's so much magic and blah, blah, blah. And it gets out to real audiences. And the rest of us are like, no, this is trash. This is total trash. When it came to the Marvels, I've been singing this for the last several weeks. If they had just paid attention to merchandising sales in 2019 and not movie ticket sales of Captain Marvel, they never would have greenlit this film. It was that obvious back then. We were talking about that years ago.
Which goes back to Chapek too, right, Valiant? Because that's part of what he did that everybody freaked out about.
Yeah.
Was he made it to where the people that helped make the decisions of whether or not these movies were made were people that paid attention to things like that.
Right.
Instead of it being, compartmentalized to where, it was all Feige making all these decisions going through Iger. Chapek made it to where they had to go through Kareem Daniels, who's like Valiant just said, had they go, oh, well, look, it didn't sell any goddamn toys. We're not making another one of these stupid things.
Right.
That's probably what happened.
Give the creatives complete control and let them do whatever they want. Let them control their own budgets. Let them control this and that and the other thing. The problem is that they haven't really had any good creatives now at Disney for years.
Well, hold on. Is Grace Randolph, so you mentioned Grace Randolph, right? Is Grace Randolph a Disney adult?
Kind of.
Yeah, I think
because she's more of a Marvel fan.
Okay, it's like for example, Jay, you got cast member friends. Actually, I'll give it to you, Mike.
But
Mike,
she adored Wish. She was one of the few people who gave it a good review. Sorry, Andrew.
That's true. No. Before you go, are employees Disney adults? Before you go in, because I'm sure you know some, Mike. I'm sure you say that. Would you say an employee, somebody who works at Disney, classifies as a Disney adult?
I think they can be. I know that when I went to do my video for Doomcock many years ago, it was someone who kind of, look, they could be doing other stuff that made them more money, but they wanted to be there. Like that is their life, and they wanted to be there. And that was, that was my end to get into the park one time for when I did that video. And I just said, why do you still work here? He says, I just love it, and I love being around it all. And this person literally could easily make 2.5 times the money doing something else, but that is how much they love it. And I think when you love it that much, you lose objectivity to see what it really is. Because I found the experience. Yes, there are things that are familiar about having gone to Anaheim 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, this past year with my sister. But it did not feel the same and did not look the same. It looked tired. It looked old. It didn't look kept up as well. And sure, you can still see the nuggets that shine, that bring back that little, like the Haunted Mansion ride still looks the same. Yeah. The Pirates of the Caribbean still did. But getting there, walking around, seeing it, it was not the happiest place on earth.
And that is the real bullet, right? Like that's the black pill or whatever you want to call it, right? Is when you've seen it in its glory days and now you see it now and it's not that thing that you knew it was, that you grew up with. It's just not the same experience. But what is the same experience, is having a fantastic time every time you're on mic. I know you've got to go, but I want to say thank you so much for joining in Valiant. I think you've got some fishing to do in the financial world, or whatever you do with your numbers. I don't know. I can't add. But thank you guys for joining. Appreciate you, Mike. Appreciate you, Val. I know I'll be on tons of streams with you guys in the future, but appreciate you stopping in and giving your $2.5 Disney dollars on this.
And congratulations on your anniversary. I can't be there tomorrow, but I'm very proud of you, and thank you for everything you've done.
Yes,
all good.
Congrats.
Appreciate you.
I'll do my best to be there.
See you, Mike.
Thanks for having me.
See you, Val.
Hey, Mikey.
Bye, guys.
Take care.
He left.
Well, they always leave you. They always leave you, Tom. Now we've got a square. This is what I wanted all along, anyway. People are noting. So okay. I have a rule. I have a rule that all the drama comes from whenever a panel gets above 4 people. Right. I made an exception today because all y'all have streamed together and like you guys know each other. It's all good. But now we can be drama free, right?
Well, I've been mostly comic relief anyway.
To pick up on like what you were saying with the cast members, there is definitely a celebration when someone finally gets there to be a cast member. Like they make these the TikTok videos and stuff get millions of views, and they just become, you know, for some, it's not for everybody, but they want to live where. And if you knew Orlando, Andrew, so it's like there's places where they all live together. You know, and apartment complexes and stuff like that. Like, right. And then there's like the
Vista K or Vista Lake.
Yeah. And then there's this whole other area for like the college program and stuff like that, which could be that's a whole nother subject which could be talked about.
Hookup towers.
Let me put a pin in that. Let me put a pin in that because I can get the former Disney International cast members. I actually know a few that have done that, so I can get them on the stream and tell. And I want to expose, like, hey, here's what really happens, you know, there because it's very rarely talked about. Those folks come in and out. But I'll just say the first encounter I had with multiple ladies was some Disney cast members when they were downtown on Wall Street in downtown Orlando. It was great. Good time. But look, I'll give this a pass, right? Okay. You work in a place. I don't give a shit if it's Disney or the movie theater or wherever, your law firm, doesn't matter, doctor, whatever. You're going to have a bond with your coworkers, right? That's not weird. That's normal, right? Like if you work with somebody and you work with them for 10, 20 years, that's normal, right? So I'm not going to, your cast member friends, Jay, I'm not going to bust them up for like enjoying their job or like loving people they worked with. Like that's normal. But there is a level when that bleeds over into saying
it bleeds over to obsession. Like that's the thing. It bleeds over to like I'm part of the club. You know, it's an obsession where these people just their whole life is centered around Celebration, Florida, and you know all that stuff. It's like they just don't leave that area. So it's like, why would I want to travel, you know, outside when I can go to Epcot and go visit other countries and eat there and stuff like that? So it's like I'm
visiting another country by going to Epcot.
It's really interesting, and I'm sure Lorena have seen this, but like there are times where like the majority of the people that watch the fireworks at Magic Kingdom are cast members. You know, like they show up and they take up all the space, you know, for the regular people. And there used to be a time where if you wanted to watch the fireworks at Magic Kingdom, all right, it's 9 o'clock, let's just head over there. It's fine. Now that place is like so packed because a lot of people that get off work, they find their buddies and they all stand together and they sing all the songs and all that stuff together. It's like it's just they just take up space, and that it's so crowded by that no matter what day. It's really weird. So like we would go to the parks and on days where the parks were literally empty, like just empty. You go to the fireworks to the Magic Kingdom, it's just filled with cast members, and it is so packed. And it's just like they're just all there singing songs and doing their whole thing. And you're just like,
Jay,
it's pretty wild.
Have these guys told you what was wild to me, and maybe because I'm a greedy shyster lawyer, have these guys told you how much they're paid Because to me, what I see with Disney in Orlando as a money hungry lawyer is I see them underpaying their contractors, employees, and other folks because it's the pleasure of working at Disney, right? So the stock employee is paid the minimum wage, right? The guy who's the attendant is paid as low as they can pay. Have you heard about that?
There's a whole nother live stream we could talk about how they manipulate wage and how they cut people to almost full-time but part-time, so they don't have to pay certain benefits, and how the college program and the international programs, they save tons of money on paying people to actually work there. So it's like, hey, you get college credits, but we're not going to pay you anything. So
student athlete.
Yeah, there's a whole thing that we could go. No, I'm sorry. But it's there's that's a whole nother live stream where some people, but that's the thing is that people who do that agree to those terms. So it's like you can't really fault Disney if they have people basically working for free if they agree to those terms. So it's like, if that's what they want to do, and then that's what they're going to do, they're going to keep doing it. So
they do. Yeah, they do it because they because they just want to go to they want to go to Disney. They want to work at Disney. They really love Disney. And they really think the experience is going to be magical because that's what they're sold in Morocco, Japan, Germany. Of course, when they get there, they're confronted with a different thing. Lorraine, I know you're chomping at the bit, but there's a compliment from Eric Weinberg from $2 said +1 for those ears. Oh, hey, Drum.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. They don't nearly make ears as good as these are. I got these 3 years ago. Now Loungefly does a better job. But Andrew, I wanted to tack on to what you were talking about with respect to wages. It's not just the cast members themselves, but it's also Disney corporate. I wanted to be an Imagineer, okay? And you look at the wages that they want to pay their IT people, just like, no. What makes you think that you can get away with this? Oh, well, we're Disney. Everybody should want to work with. No, not for that cheap. Absolutely not.
But Lorena, you get free tickets to the park.
Which from what I understand, the benefits aren't what they used to be, right? They're they've scaled down the cast.
Sell them for food. Feed your kids that way.
You got to get a reservation, and then if you're going to the Magic Kingdom, that's an epic journey to get from the parking lot to the parks. And like Jay was saying, when it's around the fireworks, there are literally herds of cast members packing into the trams and just invading the Magic Kingdom.
Which they, I get when they need to make it look like there's people there, but I mean, there should be something where they're like, all right, guys, like you got to not be taking up all this space, because part of the nice thing is having space, being able to get there, right? And when the
don't matter at that time. They've already got your money. You've already been in the park. It doesn't matter.
And the best seats are taken, or the best spots are taken by cast members.
Well, here's the thing too: is now if you want a good seat for the fireworks, you gotta pay a little extra. So you can go and sit in the lawn area where that that nice golf grass is, and all these other places. So if you really want a good spot for the fireworks, they want to pay extra. And again, that's the thing too. It's like with the Genie the day is coming where the Genie Plus scam is going to be opened up, because
the microtransactions,
Disney, it's not only that, it's just like we have seen it, and I know Lorena has seen this before, where sometimes the line for the lightning lane is longer than the regular lane because they sold too many lightning lanes to make that extra money. And then you look at the ride and it says 50-minute wait. Oh yeah, 50-minute for the regular ticket, but you get in line, it's 10 minutes. So it's like, if they pump the numbers, and it's just an allegation, it's just a rumor. Let me just
I can verify.
Yeah,
I can 100% verify what Jay.
Yeah,
you can kind of already see the pyramid scheme of it, right?
It's just
because here's the thing.
$1 million with this.
Sorry, finish your thought, Jay. Because
what I'm saying, it's like we have videos on our park, and if you don't know, like Geeks and Gamers has a theme park channel called Park Hoppin'. Or follow Lorena. She has an excellent video. She has excellent live streams on Saturdays and Sundays when she goes. So make sure you follow her as well. But like, we have videos where we were like, all right, well, this says 40-minute wait. And to get it, the lightning lane is going to cost you an extra $12 to ride this ride at a specific time where you don't have to wait 40 minutes. And then we get in line and we record it. And like we waited 10, we waited 12, we waited 15 minutes. So they definitely inflating the. It looks like they inflate the numbers. So when people see the wait times, they'll purchase the Genie Plus, which is giving you a line skipper pass. And for families, you're talking about $25 a person. Plus for the special ride, you're paying an extra $25 per ride. So now it's like $50 a person, a family of 4. I mean, it starts to add up. So it's wild, man. It's freaking wild.
Well, like I said, you can kind of see the pyramid scheme kind of thing going on in there, and the thing that will happen is as you keep rolling along, and I'm sure this has happened over time. Is you always have, and this goes back to what we were talking about before. The Disney fans are more willing to pay a little extra premium for this, right? So this time they're willing to pay this much. There's always somebody who's willing to pay a little bit more to get that little bit extra seat, right? And they know that. And like Jay was saying, is they're artificially making it look like you're better off doing it this way. Sooner or later, those prices are going to go up, or they're going to come up with a whole nother level that you pay that much more and you'll get to bypass it even faster. And it's like, it's a pyramid scheme kind of thing.
You know what, Tom? You know what the crazy thing is?
The old Carney scheme they used to have.
And you're absolutely right. The prices are going up. Like every time we check Genie,
no surprise.
Plus, it was like first it was like 15. Then they're like, oh, let's push it to 20. 20. It's like, let's push it to 25. 25. And I think the record, and Lorena, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was 27 was the highest that it peaked on a certain holiday.
It's higher this week.
Oh yeah. So
just keep edging it.
I never get it.
It's normal.
They keep
it's like on a sliding scale.
That if we don't get the Genie Plus, we won't get into a particular attraction. Like case in point, I was doing a live stream and we were coming through Fantasyland. And I'm like, it looks like there's hardly any line whatsoever for Peter Pan's flight. I'm like, this is the middle of the day. This isn't quite right.
Let me show you here. You got your channel here. Yeah, guys, make sure you subscribe to Lorena.
Fantastic channel, guys.
And then all these theme park videos here. You're here up in Mickey's Not So Scary. You're in Universal.
And Lorena, don't hold back. So you want the absolute truth. That's
Unfiltered. I like unfiltered people on my channel.
I just want to kind of tie that into what we were talking about earlier, Jay, about the scalpers and stuff, right? You know who's more pissed off about the scalpers than the fans themselves? Disney. Because then they're sitting there going, that guy just paid $1,000 for that thing that we sold for whatever. Why aren't we charging $1,000 for that thing? That's the way they're seeing it. And I guarantee you that the prices of these special things like the popcorn bucket you guys were showing are just going to keep going up and up and up and up because they know you guys will pay it. That's the problem. And I don't mean you guys personally, but I'm
gonna drop one thing in there, and you guys give me your opinion on it. But when I knew it turned a corner was when the pins came out. I knew that to me, the pins were the biggest thing. I was like, the profit margin on those is nuts. You can make a pin, the Disney pins, right? You can make those for pennies in Asia and China, Vietnam, pennies, and you can turn around and sell it for 10, 20. I've seen ones that on the secondary market, hundreds of dollars for pins. To me, that was when I was like,
more kids have made those pins than will actually end up with them.
That's fucked up. That's fucked up, but it's true.
Not wrong.
You're not wrong. Now, I'm not saying, look, I like cool stuff too. I like really, sometimes I might see something and be like, oh, that specifically is really cool. Let me get that, right? But when I see things where, okay, in a normal scenario, a popcorn bucket is not selling for $1,000. Like in what other context does a popcorn bucket sell for $1,000 unless it's super ultra unique? It was hyper specific. But that's something that, for a cheap plastic popcorn bucket, come on. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Tim Riggs for $20 says, to Lorena's point, remember about 10 years back when Disney abused the H-1B system and replaced 400 IT workers with immigrants? A friend of mine was forced to train her own replacement to get her severance. Do you remember that, Lorena?
I do indeed remember that. That's a typical thing in IT for hiring HB1 visas. But for Disney, they fired the team literally that they had running all of their IT stuff, and were bringing in offshore contractors. And that's pretty much why the likes of Genie Plus and pretty much why Disney IT is crap.
That makes complete sense. Poppy G says, having lunch at Disney with my Disney adult son and meeting they for the first time, Mando fun. Oh, your son has his day they are engaging with. Good luck with the pronouns. Hope you have a fantastic, magical lunch. Actually, wait, what do they have to say? If they can't say boys and girls anymore now, what is it now?
Welcome, hello, friends. Everyone. Dreamers
Friends.
Of all ages.
Yeah.
Dreamers of all ages. That's it. That's it.
Like the hell.
Thank you, Tom.
Dreamers of all ages.
In that case, a Disney employee equal DEI filtered. Well, oftentimes, yeah, that would be true. Brandon the Anime Guy earlier said, I need to get back to Florida at least once. Universal was my favorite in 04 and 06. I'm there for the rat getting crushed at Disney. They suck. Well, I'll say this because Jay, you mentioned it. I want you to pop it up a little bit on this topic. Universal adults. I don't think they exist. I'm going to take the position that a universal adult does not exist in the same way as a Disney adult. I think there are
not yet.
They're okay.
But I think we're getting there because.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, listen. Disney started selling popcorn buckets for whatever reason. It took off like crazy. So Universal's like, we're gonna up the ante and make our own. And then Universal has an event called Halloween Horror Nights, which they've had
forever.
Yeah,
which is their forever.
Which is their and speaking to the vice president of marketing that I know really well, he's like, that's their biggest moneymaker ever.
Yes.
So it's like the year that they had to stop that because of lockdowns and everything, they really took a hurt because they make more in those 2 months than they make all year. It's crazy how much
that's the one event I would always go to.
They go all out, and people go all out. People go all out for that event too. They collect every pin, every shirt, every bucket, every cup, magnet. So it's like
every show.
Magnet. And then when they're like, annual pass holders, you get a free magnet. Are you kidding me? The line is long, especially in that first day because they only got a limited supply. So people want to make sure they get them, and so I'm not saying that they're turning into Disney adults per se, but there are certain events that Universal does that it brings people out to that, almost to that obsessive level, where people are like, I have every shirt from the last 35 years. I have every cup and everything like that. So the thing about that is it's only once a year. So it's like for 2 months, once a year.
Well, and I think you're right.
Or the Harry Potter people, right?
Well, I was just going to say, here's the thing you have.
The fandom.
Well, here's the thing you have.
They're not rude. I'll say that. No, the Harry Potter people are like, the thing that I find about the Harry Potter people is that they are dressed like they're going to the winter season of Hogwarts in August, where it's like 120 degrees. And I'm like, how? I'm like,
I don't do that.
And they're in full robe. Some people got a scarf on and like long pants. And I'm watching it and I'm like, dude, I'm sweating like I barely have any clothes on and I'm dying here. These people must have put a real spell on them to make them not feel so hot, or they really smell when they take that robe off. It is like
they have to do that. They want to be truly immersed in that whole environment. So they have the full regalia on.
Yeah, so like you could say that might be a little obsessive, but
I was just going to bounce off that, Jay, and say you have it building, right? And I'm curious what Lorena thinks, because I've never been to Universal, never been to Disney.
Ever?
My whole aspect of never. So
would you go, Tom? Would you go to?
I definitely would. I would love to go to Universal. I wanted to my whole life. I was sad I missed out on things like Jaws and other things like that. But that being said, I think Jay's onto a point. Like they're on the fast course of building. I don't know what you call it, a uni adult or a universal adult or whatever it would be, between the Harry Potter fandom, which has already got its own fan base, which is, a big part of Universal Studios. You have the Halloween nights, which is another big factor already. Bring in all the other stuff between Jurassic Park, the DreamWorks animation stuff, and now Nintendo.
Yes.
When Nintendo becomes a big part of this, all bets are off.
That's when
Because
we'll
you're gonna-
know for sure.
You're going to have
Weebs.
Nintenderds, or whatever you call them, the Nintendo nerds are going to add a whole new layer to this thing. And I think you're going to have an explain. That's the thing. Like you guys were saying, Jay, I think you're spot on by saying this. I'm curious if Lorraine agrees because I've never been there, but it seems like Universal overall appeals a bit more to a bit of the adult audience, kind of like comparing Nintendo to Sega to kind of bounce off of that. Where back in the day, it was like Sega was for the big kids, Nintendo was for the kiddie kids. Well, that doesn't matter anymore. This is going to be all bets are off because Mario is king.
So,
and I think the Universal part, it's really going to change this thing. But yeah.
And I'll say one other thing. I have been legitimately drunk at Universal. Like those, I've done shots at Universal and I've gotten fucking drunk at Universal.
Yeah.
I'm not, it takes me at least $300 to $400 at Disney going around the world to get the same level of drunk as at Universal for like 30. Right? Like I can do a couple shots, just rip a couple shots.
You gotta go to the bar at the Polynesian, go to the lounge. You will not be able to
but Lorena, I'm talking about in the park, right? So like if you're right. Some of these hotels and like some of these hotels are really nice. The hotel bars are really nice, but like in the parks, right? Like it's like if for both pound for pound, dollar for dollar, Universal will get you drunk quicker.
So
I think that's fair.
True.
On that note of what Tom was saying, I had the privilege of flying out to Los Angeles or driving with Jeremy and Krista, and we were invited. We were invited by the Universal team to go to Super Nintendo World in Hollywood. Yeah, so we went last February. We went last March. This March of this year, we went out there, and there was also it was the same week as the meetup for G&G in Vegas. So we were there, and when we got to Universal Hollywood, the entire park was dead empty. And I went live on Park Hoppin'. I walked on every ride. There was no one in front of me. It's all video evidence there. We went to Super Nintendo World, and people were dressed like Princess Peach, like Mario, like Daisy, like the characters, and they just stayed there. They didn't go to any other park. So I think Tom might be onto something that when they open the biggest park for Super Nintendo, which will have the listen to me, Donkey Kong edition.
Yeah.
I almost said Honky Kong. So
it's going to be bigger than the one they have in Japan. Like the one it's
going to be the biggest one.
It's going to be bigger than Osaka.
It's supposed to be the biggest one to date. And that could, I mean, like I said, if there's any indication, like what we saw, which was it was wild to see that, then maybe there will be a there will be, but I do know that Universal's
it's a little
putting
different though, because they're not loyal to Universal, right? Like if somehow Disney got the IP to Nintendo, those Nintendo folks are going over there. Disney almost got Harry Potter. J.K. Rowling almost gave it to Disney, right? That was a whiff on Disney's part. Those Harry Potter people would have just gone to Disney instead.
So they're loyal to the IP, right? So
that is
but what you're gonna get is Universal they have special. It's the same setup. They'll have special merch only that you can get in the theme parks. They'll have, things that you want to get a picture with Mario or Princess Peach. You got to go to the theme parks. It's kind of setting up like the same type of atmosphere. Universal is also really dedicating a lot of money to grab that younger market with they're opening a whole DreamWorks section. Yeah, and they're pushing Minions like no one's business. They actually opened up a brand new ride. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I don't know what Lorena thinks, but it's like you get on a conveyor belt. And it's for all ages, and you get a gun and you shoot a screen, and it is what it is.
It's fun. The little kids like it. They don't care if the thing weighs more than they do. They're just shooting stuff and causing all kinds of stuff to happen. And
wait a second. They are putting money into something that is not targeted at millennials and people that are
it's
older.
Definitely a family. Like all the Minion stuff is definitely it's like Legoland has a term for it. They call them daddy-daughter rides, where a father can ride with their little kid on these roller coasters that they set up. So they're definitely building a lot of that stuff over there in this Minions area.
Having a dad.
So yeah,
Universal's handled the Minions thing very successfully, right? Like when they first started out, the Despicable Me movies did okay, but then they hit this stride, and each one of them now is banked over $1 billion. And unlike Disney, where Disney has been very like litigious when it comes to their characters, like you can come to mind when it comes to like Winnie the Pooh and Spider-Man, famously, they won't allow on like gravestones and stuff like that for children, or being used in nursery homes or in daycares. I mean, and they even sued people for showing Disney movies in daycare centers, for instance.
Yes.
On the other hand, the Minions and Universal, they have literally never sued anybody over it. They have sent stuff out to people when they've requested it for free for like daycare centers and stuff like that. If they want to put Minions on their wall or on their signs and all that kind of stuff, they openly embrace it. And that's the kind of thing that Disney should be doing, and they're not. Exactly. Free advertising.
Free advertising. Here's a good question. This is a big one on Rumble, a Rumble rant. I got in, and Tom, why don't you start out with it since you're up at bat here? Occupant 42 says, would it be more expensive for Disney to shelve Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs and pay back all the tax credits, or release it and deal with the brand damage? When I think of like deranged millennial, I think of Rachel Zegler. She's pretty up there. But what do you think?
There's been this false sense of that they can just cancel things and write them off on taxes ever since the Batgirl situation. And people need to understand that the Batgirl situation was a completely different scenario than most of these movies. Most of these movies are more like the Black Widow and Wonder Woman situation, and people forget about those quickly. The whole thing with Batgirl was it was set up for streaming. None of the contracts or merchandising or any of that kind of contracts involved had anything to do with the theatrical release. So when they decided to bump it up to a theatrical release, that was just a plus to everybody involved. But when the new regime came in and took a look at it and said, this is not going to help us, it's going to hurt us more than help us, it was one of those projects they could actually scrap without having to deal with the problems like they did with Wonder Woman 84 and like Disney did with Black Widow, where and with Legendary had with Warner Brothers as well, where they had to pay out all this money because they released them on streaming and in theaters at the same time, and that was a breach of their contract. See, all these theatrical films have contracts, not just with the players involved, but with theaters and other people, your licensees. Like that was what happened with Wonder Woman 84. Another thing that happened with that was it got delayed so many times that Doritos is like, guess what? We got a warehouse full of chips with Wonder Woman on them. We're putting them out no matter what. We don't give a crap if your movie's coming out in July or not. Because they couldn't hold on to them. They have an expiration date on them, right? So they're like, we're not going to get screwed on these. It was Disney did the same thing to Hasbro with Star Wars when they kept changing The Rise of Skywalker, which they're still shooting right now as we speak. Because they said we couldn't and people don't realize this, but Star Wars the Rise of Skywalker was the only Star Wars movie in history not to have a 3 3/4 inch figure line to go with it. Because was it Hasbro? Yeah, it was Hasbro, right? Who said we have a whole warehouse full of characters we can't release because they're not in the fucking movie anymore. So like, they're like, screw it. They threw their hands in there. They're like, we're not doing a figure. We don't have the time. We don't have the time to fulfill these characters anymore because you've changed the movies so much. So like, yeah, it was just one of those things where at this point, it's just a discombobulated mess. And with Snow White, they can't cancel it because there's theatrical contracts involved with this thing. If there's certain bigger players involved, maybe not Rachel Zegler necessarily, but other people involved that probably have a pay or play contract. That's what I was being told when it came to the Flash, why they didn't just scrap the Flash, was because Michael Keaton specifically and certain other people had contracts involved with the back end deal. So it was cheaper for Warner Brothers to release it and it'd be a bomb. So they didn't have to pay out any of these people because they had to pay over $100 million. It was to Gal Gadot and what's her face, the director, for Wonder Woman 84 for that mess. So they didn't want to have to deal with that again. So that's kind of where they can't just cancel a lot of these things sometimes and shelve them and write them off for taxes. I'm surprised Disney did as many shows as they did already, to be honest with you, because they're really losing money on those things at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. But they keep doing it, right? They lose money and they keep doing it. That's the Disney way, right? It's like they fail, but then they continue to fail forward, right? They're just failing, but not forward, like downward. Let me get these super chats here. And also, Tim Riggs, who gifted 10 Legal Mindset memberships. Thank you so much, Tim. Appreciate you, Tim, coming through the big rig, the Giga Chad in the base Legal Mindset today. Thank you so much for belonging to the only BLM that supports the Song of the South. Thank you so much. Not K for 5 said, my kids their age aren't interested in Disney. Online has been taking that generation's attention. Absolutely. Online games, at games. They're going everywhere but to the Disney parks. And when they do, they're showing up and seeing a dude in a dress. And they're like, yeah, no. Dehaco says, Valiant and Mexican Iron Man both hit on it. Tying park experience to movies, family, and memorable characters that pass down for a generation, and then merchandise, right? Which is what Tom is talking about. I still have my old Star Wars figurines. I still have all those old things. That's what you want people buying because it ties you in. When you don't have that, it doesn't work, right? It absolutely does not work. So that is a big deal. Then you got a big 20 from Jay who says, big Disneyland family here. Lots of memories. I can't look at what they're doing to the parks anymore. I dropped my bucket list of doing the week-long Disney World trip. Maybe I'll visit Epic Universe instead. Save it for Epic. When Epic comes out, it's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic. I can tell you, look, I was on the inside of Universe. It's going to be great. And I was just there for the speculative stuff. So now the stuff they put out, it's going to be fantastic. I think Epic is going to kill it.
It's going to be awesome. I saw Mount Beanpole, the little scaffolding around it. I saw that driving yesterday. I was like, it's supposed to be awesome.
It's going to be good. Not K for 5 says, speaking of cancellation, Jenna Ortega getting fired. F that. She was amazing as Wednesday. Netflix made a stupid decision.
Wait, what?
Okay.
What?
Wait, Jenna Ortega's fired.
What? Jenna Ortega?
Okay. Well, you guys might have some videos coming out. 1 hour ago, I'm seeing this. She's fired because she made a Palestine comment.
No, they're talking about the other chick from Scream.
Okay, that's definitely not Jenna.
Yeah, that's not Jenna Ortega.
From Scream 7. So
yeah.
Wrong,
it's the chick who plays her sister in that.
Chick. Wrong.
Melissa Barrera. Yeah.
There you go. Tim Riggs, what is y'all's analysis of Disney's repeated failure to fill theater seats having an impact on their negotiating power with the theater company screens they get dedicated for new releases? Tim, that's like an extra stream, and we got to go here because your boy is operating on pure alcohol and and hopes and dreams right now. I'm snorting pixie dust, along with my the vodka that's sitting in the vodka Red Bull that's sitting in my stomach right now. So I promise you this will be fully hit on another stream. But if you want a speed round, maybe just like one sentence, I'm looking at you, Tom, on your thoughts on Disney's failure in the movie.
Sorry about that.
Jay, I'll give it to you. I love you, Tom. I love you, Tom.
Say, I've been quiet most of the show. What the hell?
I know. Just some thoughts. Jay, do you have a one sentence on their failure to negotiate, their failure to do well in the box office and what that's going to do for them going forward?
They're catering to the wrong audience. So that's basically in a nutshell.
So, Lorena, thoughts?
Yeah, they're gonna lose. They're gonna lose big. Case in point. Trolls movie is still making money. Wish, not so much.
Yeah. And they're paying big advertising money. I saw in Bangkok, they've got the entire metro wrapped in a Wish wrap. That shit's not free. You want to wrap the entire fucking metro for a city of millions of people in a wrap? That's going to cost millions of dollars for you to take an L. Like it's not. I need to get a picture of it, but it is not free. All right, guys. So thank you so much for joining me. Guys, make sure you subscribe to the guys who just showed up. First show with Legal Mindset, Jay Drunk 3PO, Lorena Creole, Tom Midnight's Edge. And you all are invited if you want to tomorrow, my anniversary stream. There'll be lots of drinks, lots of hanging out. But thank you so much for joining. Hope to stream with you guys in the future. And
let's do it.
There, awesome. Yeah,
let's do it. Let's do it. All your channels. I will be on your channel, Jay, Lorena.
Let's do it.
You guys anytime. I feel like Jay, we got Jay and Lorena. I feel like we could do a like the international program stream. We could do that shit. Like that would be good. I would love to do that with you guys.
Yeah, there's a lot of information I bet people just don't know.
They don't know. They do not know what's going down. All right, but guys, you will figure out on another episode. Catch you later. Take care. Stay based.